Nothing feels good right now, not because life got dull, but because your receiver is muted. The exhaustion you feel right now, that flat gray nothing where motivation used to live, that's not a character flaw. It's not burnout from working too hard or caring too little. It's your brain running a defense protocol against a world that never stops screaming for your attention. I didn't figure this out from a textbook. I figured it out on a Tuesday night, sitting on my couch at 11 p.m., scrolling through short-form videos I didn't even want to watch. My thumb just kept moving. Swipe, swipe, swipe. I wasn't enjoying any of it, but I also couldn't stop. And somewhere between a cooking reel I'd never try and a motivation clip that made me feel worse, I thought, when was the last time something actually felt good? Not performatively good. Not the quick dopamine hit of a notification. I mean the kind of good that sits in your chest and stays warm for a while. I couldn't remember. I work at a medical device company. I build software for blood glucose monitors and ketone meters. So I spend my days thinking about how the body measures things, how signals get processed, how noise gets filtered from data. And that night on the couch, something clicked in a way I wasn't expecting. What if my brain was doing exactly what our devices do when there's too much interference? What if it was turning down the sensitivity, not because it was broken, but because it was trying to protect itself from the noise? Here's what I mean. When you keep feeding yourself high-intensity stimulation, the endless scroll, the sugar spikes, the rapid-fire content, the late-night snacking that feels like comfort but lands like static, your baseline shifts. The threshold for what registers as pleasurable creeps higher and higher. So the things that used to bring you quiet joy, a walk, a slow meal, a conversation that goes nowhere in particular, they stop registering. They're still there. Still perfectly good signals. But your receiver is turned way down and the noise floor is way up. I noticed this in myself through the most embarrassing metric, my screen time. It had climbed to something I don't want to say out loud, and my satisfaction with everything, food, work, even conversations, had simultaneously dropped. More input, less feeling. I was consuming more and tasting nothing. Like eating an entire bag of chips and still feeling hungry, except the hunger was emotional and the chips were Instagram reels. So I tried something that felt almost radical in its simplicity. I stopped adding more. I started subtracting. The first 48 hours were genuinely terrible, and I want to be honest about that. I cut social media, short-form video, and sugar all at once, which, in retrospect, was maybe too ambitious, kind of like ripping off 3 Band-Aids taped to your soul simultaneously. I felt restless and bored in a way that bordered on physical discomfort. I didn't know what to do with my hands. I walked around my apartment like a confused ghost. I went to bed early because there was literally nothing I wanted to do. And I lay there thinking, is this what withdrawal feels like? But by day 3, something subtle shifted. The boredom didn't go away exactly, but it changed texture. It got softer, quieter. And in that quiet, I started noticing things I'd been walking past for months. The way the light hit my kitchen counter in the late afternoon. The actual taste of the black coffee I'd been drinking on autopilot every morning. On my walk home from work, I walk an hour every evening instead of taking transit. It's my favorite part of the day. I heard birds. I know that sounds ridiculous. The birds were always there. I just couldn't hear them over everything else. Around the same time, I started shifting what I was eating. Not because I had some grand plan, but because with the noise turned down, I got curious about the fuel side of things. At work, I look at glucose data all day. The spikes, the crashes, the variability. I'd been wearing a continuous glucose monitor on my own arm for weeks, watching my own graph. And I noticed something I'd been ignoring. My mood tracked almost perfectly with my glucose swings. High spike, brief euphoria, crash, brain fog, craving, repeat. It was a loop, and it was running me. So I dropped my carbs low, under 30 grams a day, and started eating mostly fats and protein. I want to be clear, I'm not preaching this as the answer for everyone. I'm telling you what happened when I tried it on myself, like a quiet experiment with a sample size of one. The first week was hard in a different way. My body was switching fuel sources, and there's this awkward in-between period where your brain is essentially saying, wait, where's the glucose? What do you mean, use ketones? I don't remember how to do that. I felt foggy, a little anxious, and weirdly emotional. Not sad exactly, more like tender, raw. Like a layer had been peeled off and everything was closer to the surface. I checked my ketone meter obsessively, which is funny because I literally build the software for these things. And here I was, squinting at the readings like a nervous student checking test scores. But around day 10, something started to clarify. And I don't use that word lightly. It was like someone had been slowly cleaning a window I didn't know was dirty. My thoughts got quieter, but sharper. I could sit with a single task longer without reaching for my phone. The emotional flatness from those first few days of sensory fasting started to differentiate again, but differently this time. Instead of the old loud highs and crashing lows, I felt a steadier range, smaller maybe, but more real, more textured. I noticed I could enjoy a simple dinner alone without needing a screen in front of me. Just the food, the quiet, the particular kind of peace that comes from eating something you made yourself in an apartment that's just yours. That's a feeling I hadn't had access to in a long time, and I didn't even know it was missing until it came back. By week 2, I started reintroducing things, slowly, one at a time, some music while cooking, one podcast on my walk, a short check-in with a friend, not everything at once, not the fire hose, just one signal at a time. And I paid attention to how each one landed. Some things felt nourishing in a way they hadn't before. Some things, honestly, I realized I didn't miss at all. The ketone meter became less of an anxiety device and more of a quiet confirmation. When the numbers showed I was in ketosis, my subjective experience matched. Clearer head, more stable energy, less pull toward mindless consumption. It wasn't magic. It was more like the signal-to-noise ratio had improved, the same me, the same life. But I could actually hear what was happening inside it. I still have messy days. Last week, I ate an entire sleeve of cookies at 10 p.m. because I was lonely and tired and the cookies were there. And my ketone readings the next morning looked like they'd given up on me. That's fine, that's human. I'm not trying to be optimized. I'm trying to be tuned in, which is a completely different thing. What I keep coming back to is this. I thought I needed more excitement, more stimulation, more reasons to feel alive. What I actually needed was less noise so I could hear the aliveness that was already there. The problem was never that life got boring. The problem was that I'd turned my own sensitivity down so low that I couldn't feel the ordinary beauty of it anymore. Excitement isn't something you chase. It's something that returns when you finally stop drowning it out. And your exhaustion, that heavy, shapeless nothing. It might not be a sign that something is wrong with you. It might be the quietest, most desperate signal your body knows how to send, saying, I'm still here. Just give me some silence, and I'll show you.